Hello YouTube, this is Eddie with my Royal Paladin list that my team won the Springfest Rosemont, Illinois regional tournament with. And I was player A, and well, I'm going to go ahead and start with the deck profile. First off, here's the boss unit right here, is Salome. She is just your #1 ride target as a grade 3. I've had people ask why not Ashley. This card just gives an absurd amount of pressure with Crystal Luster. 8 drive checks total, restanding Vanguard, guard restrict. Seriously, like, it worked for the cross, and it doesn't hit as high numbers either, and it has less drive checks, so why not a better version of that almost? Next is your backup grade 3 and mostly a rear guard, or you want it as a rear guard just for the multi attacks. So you want to play for Ashley. You get plenty of soul for Salome and Ashley to both proc in the same turn multiple times. It's just no questions why you should not run this. Next is this grade 2. She's probably honestly your best grade 2 in Jewel Knights. She recycles 2 normal units and soul charges and gains 5k. So she's always hitting a forced Vanguard or, you know, lower of course. And when she's called upon, you get 10k to that unit that was called on top of her, which allows you to keep the pressure up. And this deck is really good at keeping the pedal to the metal at times when you need to. And this card is the reason why you're able to do that, honestly. Like I said, she's honestly probably low-key the best card in this deck. Next is 4 Civils. You're going to continue noticing a trend here. You're going to run 4 of on on all the new Jewel Knights, and then 1 of the old Jewel Knights. Civil just adds consistency to the deck and allows you, by tucking a Royal Paladin card that's grade 2 or less into your soul to draw a card. So you can try to dig for your Salome if you don't have her, or your combo pieces, or whatever else you need. She's just great. She was actually one of the cards I was really looking forward to out of this last V selection set. And then when she's called on top of, you get to look at the top 3 cards for a Jewel Knight that's grade 2 or less and call it to a rear guard, which is also, you know, free advantage. And free advantage is great advantage. Next is the big one that people keep asking me about. Forward Stormy. Yes, it is an expensive card, but in card games you have to spend money on most of the top tier decks. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, this is worth every penny of it at the moment. Just because we don't have that many great Jewel Knights, all the old Jewel Knights are not great whatsoever. This is decent at best, but you need that hole just for to be filled by the Jewel Knight name. And this is the best old Jewel Knight, and it allows you to farm for one of the grade 1s that's very crucial to the deck, and allows you to farm more for soul and everything. You just need 4 of this. Like, you can make very suboptimal choices to replace this if you can't afford them, which is understandable, but it is just not going to do the same thing. Like, there's times when, like Salome, you have to call on top of units or rearguard circles with units. There's been times when, and you need to call 3 units in order to restand her. There's been times when, like, I just had my Vanguard and then an Ashley. Swing my Ashley, Soul Blast 2, call out a Sword Me, Counterblast a Jewel Knight, call a grade 1. Then boom, I have my 3. Just without 1 card. And then I can keep the pressure up and just keep going with this. And this can actually cause a 4 to 11 attacks total with your rear guards and Vanguard swings. So like I said, this card is a very must for Jewel Knights right now until we get something better, unfortunately. Next is the best grade 1 in the deck, Eunice. When she boosts at the end of the battle, you put a normal unit at the bottom of your deck, soul charge, and you bounce her back to your hand. So she can be guard father, or you can just keep calling her, or she dodges removal essentially, and you can keep her in your hand for your Salome. If you need that third Jewel Knight, or to lower the chances of not hitting your 3 Jewel Knights in your hand, to restand Salome. But this card is just absolutely insane. And plus, when you ride this, decks that use Forerunners don't realize that when she's rode upon or called upon, you retire a rear guard on your opponent's side of the field in the same column as her. If not, you draw a card. So people that run the Forerunners, they usually call it behind their Vanguard for the boost. So if you ride this as your grade 1 Vanguard, then ride to grade 2, you can easily retire that Forerunner, and then it usually does hurt them. Like something I noticed that some Nightmare Dolls play, the one Forerunner that calls it calls it out and then counterblast 1, search the top 3, put a Nightmare Doll, and if you did, you do it again. This snipes that, and it slows them down big time, and it's great. This card is the key card to the consistency of the deck. Honestly, more than Sybil. Sybil just helps the consistency, but this card is just insane. It just allows you to farm over and over and over. And if we didn't have this card, I don't think the deck would be as good, honestly. Next is Morvidus. She's a decent attacker because you really don't want to use her counterblast unless it's really needed to soul charge, or put a normal unit at the bottom and soul charge, gain 5k to a Jewel Knight. So she can hit thresholds if you really need her. Her best skill is when she's placed upon, you draw a card. So all the newer Jewel Knights, you don't neg by riding. You actually kind of break even. Or if you're like trying to keep the pedal to the metal, like I said earlier, you just keep drawing cards and just keep the pressure on, which is always great. Next is I just play one of Christine. She's just the extender of a attack combo. She's just there because you can recycle her. Like if you have one of your heal grade 3s, or just like an extra Salome or Ashley in hand, you reveal them and counterblast. If you have 3 or more other Jewel Knights, you call a grade 3 out of your deck, and then you discard a card and add that Jewel Knight if it's still on the field. But like, this is just an extender. This is just for your kill turns, essentially, if you really need to push that damage in. This has, like, just 1 is just perfect. Also, it's kind of like a grade 3 searcher too, early game if I need to. If I'm like being super aggressive early game, I call her, and I don't have the Salome, I'll reveal an Ashley or the grade 3 heal, call the Salome, and then at the end of the turn, I bounce the Salome to my hand and I fix my ride target. Next, I play one of the old Jewel Knight Esol Perfect Guard, and the reason is because I don't want to play too many draws, because you draw enough with, calling on top of Morvidus or Eunice, or 8 drive checks. That is an insane amount of drawing. The amount of deck thinning you do too. You can recycle this, with all your Jewel Knights. It's a reusable PG essentially. You just got to draw into it. One of is perfectly fine, and it has the Jewel Knight name also for Sword Me. And the last grade 1 I play is Sollist. It's just your typical grade 3 searcher. I just try to use it for the consistency of trying to find your grade 3s, because Salome is that important to it, and then you also want to try to find your Ashleys to be aggressive on your big Crystal Luster turns. For the triggers, I play one of the Cater Sanctuary over trigger. This card is just nuts. If you hit this with your Crystal Luster and then keep tacking with your rear guards, you can easily go from a no card hand to like a 16 card hand just because of this. This is insane. I play one Sentinel crit just because I want that extra that crit pressure. Like I said, I wanted to trim down on the draw triggers just to avoid decking out. And then I play 4 of the stride fodder crits because striding is super important and it's just a crit. And then I play 4 of the Golden Esol GB1 just to help build soul, and you know that 10k extra 10k to Vanguard is also handy at times. So, and like I said, crit pressure. Next, I play 2 of the draw PGs Esol, just because like there's not enough room for the grade 1s, and you know I do want to have a few draw triggers in here. So that's basically it. And then 4 of the Hill Guardians. If you're not playing Hill Guardians in premium, you better have a good reason not to, and that is most likely deck specific. But like, these are no-brainers. They're also stride fodder too. And I just play, you know, the V starters. Alright, next up is the GZone. You play 4 Crystal Luster. This is a no-brainer. The interaction with Salome is just ridiculous, because Salome is just when placed upon, not when called upon or rode upon. She gives this card plus 10k in a drive check, so it's quad drive, and it can possibly swing two times. And with this deck, you want to go force 2, and that's an incredible amount of pressure, like just an absurd amount of pressure. And the longer the game goes, the stronger this card gets, because of the GB3 with the guard restrict of, if you have 2, or was it a grade 2 or greater, and have 3 of them or more, your opponent has to guard with 3 or more cards at the same time from their hand. So your 15k grade 2, they still have to guard 3 cards. They're over guarding, you know, and that's why I said that card is actually one of the MVPs of this deck. So Crystal Luster is a 4 of, because also 4 of strides kind of are bad right now. They're either very name specific, like out for Alpha or Blaster, and this is the best generic stride we have, unfortunately. Next, I play 3 of the Jewel Knight stride. It's just because if I get damage denied and I don't want to waste a Crystal Luster for whatever reasons, and this gives your Jewel Knight's power, or 3k for each face up of this. So this is your flip fodder too for Crystal Luster, just in case if you have no counterblast for whatever reason, or for some reason Crystal Luster is just not the best option, which is honestly never, but you have the room. And this was like really kind of the best target, because Cyclone, you know, you can't really use that because you don't run any normals. So it's the Jewel Knight theme, I guess. I play 1 Saint of Twin Swords. It's just kind of a multi-attack finisher, just in case if you don't have your Salome. You call on top of your Ashley, and then your 2 rear guards that you call out, they get huge the longer the game goes, because they gain 5k for each face-up GZone card. So that's it for that. I play the Progenitor Dragon just in case that odd situation where like the Progenitor Dragon's the best option for whatever reason instead of Crystal Luster, and I have that ultimate stride basically. So Breeze, my teammate Spees told me to run this. I listened to him. It's never came up. It's just sitting there. I'm not lying, but thank you, Spees. And then for the G Guardians, I play the generic Royal Paladin one. If you have a when it's placed, if you have one or more grade 2 rear guards, it gains 5k. So it's just 5k more than your hills if you have at least one grade 2 or higher, or grade 2. So yeah. And this, just another generic, just like Royal Strides. Their G Guardians are kind of bad too. And this one goes up to 25k if you have 2 or more grade 2 units. And this is your best G Guardian, Masco. It goes up to 25, but only requires a front row rear guard. And that is it. And it's locked behind GB1. Again, our G Guardians are kind of bad right now until the new one comes out. Then I play one Ractum and then one Dismal. And that's just because they're kind of attack options, just in case if like I have a bunch of dead grade 3s in my hand and I need a dig, I can pitch a grade 3 to try to get more shield in my hand, or a PG, and just our G Guardians are kind of bad. Then Dismal, just in case if I want to save one of my, like Ashley's most likely, on the rear guard, and it stops it from being attacked or getting retired by a card effect during battle. But that's it for the deck profile. I was very proud of my team. Team Overtriggers for the win. We did our thing in Rosemont, and hopefully we'll be there in Atlanta for the next Spring Fest. And don't forget to check out Draw 2 Cards. They are a sponsor for the channel, and we have a partnership with them. So please check them out for your Vanguard needs or any other card games. And like, comment, and subscribe on this video and any other videos for more future content. See ya.